Now we're going to look at Go's built-in testing package. I'm going to go back to this grade program I wrote before. I've changed it in a couple different ways. I've changed the function names to capital letters, so that will make them public. We'll be able to then see those functions and test them from our test file. I've also introduced an error in each of them. So here I've changed score greater than or equal to 60 to score greater than 60. So that'll be an error which we will catch with our tests. So to create tests using Go's built-in testing package, we're going to create a file with the same name _test. So we import the package testing. When we create test functions, I will name them the same. This is by convention. You name them the same as the function they are testing. So we're going to test getLetterGradeIf with function test getLetterGradeIf. It will take in a parameter that's of type testing.t, a pointer to testing.t. And there are lots of methods for that. I'm only going to use a couple of them. The first one is this errorf method, which is going to log an error when we have one. We're doing table-driven testing. So I'm going to build a table. This is what's called a slice in Go. And it's kind of like an array, but it's got a dynamic size. So it will be a slice of structures. So each element will have both a score, which is an integer, and an expected value, which is a rune, which is, in our cases, a single character. And so we're building that slice. We have a collection of scores. So for a 95, we expect an A. For an 89, we expect a B. And you'll note that because of the selection, I have put things right on the boundary. That's where people tend to mess up. So we have this slice of structures. We have a collection of test cases here. We then loop over this slice. So we don't actually care about the index. So we're for loop. We're going to ignore the index. We're going to get test, which will be one of these particular structures. And then we're going to call getLetterGradeIf with the score. We're going to then compare what we get back, that result, with our expected value. If it doesn't match, we're going to use this errorf method to report an error. We can run this by saying go test grade -run. And then we can specify a particular test. Normally we don't do that. We just run all of the tests, but we'll just run one test here. And so you'll see that it failed. We get our error message that we printed out. For 60, we got an F, we wanted a D. Overall, we failed. All right, so that's one method of testing where we're just using the errorf. We can also use the run feature, which is built in to the testing package. By doing run, we're going to be able to run tests in parallel when that's appropriate. That can make the testing go faster. So we say run. We also had to add a name to each test. So that will print out more specific messages so we can find which of our tests failed more easily. So we run that with switch. You'll see that it tells us the name of the test. We can look, okay, so it was A border. That test failed. And then we get our particular message down here. 90 is a B. When we go back to here, you'll see I inserted a different error in getLetterGradeSwitch. So for that 90, it did not give an A, it gave a B. So here we have an anonymous function that's going to get run. So it runs this function with this name. In parallel, calls getLetterGradeSwitch with the score. So it looks fairly similar to what we had up here with the addition of the run, which allows us to do it in parallel, and we get the names that way. So we can simply say go test grade, and it will run all of the tests. And you'll see both failures for getLetterGradeIf and also for getLetterGradeSwitch. Because we use ArrowRef, it will continue to run all of the tests. We can alternatively use a different method to get it to abort as soon as it finds a test that doesn't work. Another useful thing to know is we can actually say -v if we want more verbose information. That's more helpful with the run. You can see it running each of the tests. Then you see a lot of that pause and continue because of the parallelism. And perhaps a more useful option is this cover. And so what cover does for us is it lets us see how much of the code we've covered. We covered 45.5% of the statements. Why is that? We've done a good job of covering get letter grade if and get letter grade switch, but we did not do any coverage of demo switch or main. So that can be a good mechanism for making sure that we're testing all of the code in our program. All right, so that's a quick introduction to the testing package in Go. Be sure to write good tests for your code so you're creating correct code.